All right, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about why Microsoft continues to suck. This kind of just reinforces the previous video on leaving Microsoft Windows specifically over Linux, and I briefly mentioned this GDID in the video. However, a lot more detail has come out recently, as whereas Linus made a video a couple days ago regarding this exact item. I had read about it a while back, but now that it's kind of blowing up, I decided to take a little bit more of a deep dive. And just to sum up the video in a few short sentences, every Windows PC signed into a Microsoft account carries like a hidden serial number, and Microsoft only admitted it. It exists after the federal court filings got unsealed this month. An alleged hacker ran everything through like VPNs and proxies across 3 different countries, and honestly that didn't even matter. Microsoft walked FBI through the records using this new I don't even think it's new. I just said it was just unknown. This new global device identifier number, and was able to kind of get everything down to even web pages and timestamps, which is just wild. How they did that is unclear. Like that part is kind of left out of the reports. All I really know is that Microsoft got requested a court case subpoenaed, I assumed, and they were able to provide details beyond what should be normally allowed for an OS manufacturer, which is pretty nutty. So I read the court case, as I also read some of these articles, so you don't have to, and I'll give you some honest answers on my feelings, as well as what you can really do about it, and where this plain text GDID lives on your PC. So yeah, let's just start off with the video that Linus made. Great video, sums it up pretty high level, essentially claiming that there is a number out there that has been confirmed, and the overall sentiment was that like, hey, it's good to be on Linux right now. And I agree. I think it's a very good spot to be on Linux, just because stuff like this keeps popping up, and it just makes me validate my reason to switch. This article is probably the best one. It goes into pretty great detail on the timeline. There was a ransom demand in 2025 in May for a 19-year-old part of a hacking group called Scattered Spider, and essentially they demanded some money, and the FBI followed the attacks through IPs and eventually hit a dead end when they weren't able to get through the VPNs and proxies. There was a court order, and the court order forced Microsoft to produce records for one specific device. This device was this GDID, and it actually mentions it in detail here, so you can see what it looks like. And as a result, Microsoft was actually able to track down to the exact minute an attack that was created through a proxy, and then 3 hours later hit the victim's website with the same proxy, and the GDID kind of helped link all that together, which I think is just wild. Again, it doesn't go into very much details on how this GDID was used to extract timestamps and website information, but the fact that they were kind of followed the trail with this ID is the concern itself. And again, this is alleged. There's no conviction at this point. I'm not really concerned about the crime itself. Punishing bad people doing ransom attacks is probably a good thing for the world. However, the methods and kind of a revelation of this GDID is more concerning than the actual $8 million ransom. So this is kind of my personal opinion. Bad people doing bad stuff should be caught. The methods of catching those bad people should not exploit and leave other people at risk of being of having their privacy essentially violated. So read through this article if you want to get more detail. This is probably the best one I found online. Ultimately, this alleged person got caught bouncing from Estonia to New York to Thailand over a period of like 8 months, and eventually was arrested in Helsinki airport. And this was very recent. This was in April 2026 with 2 terabyte drives on him. What they were was not disclosed, and the kicker was that Microsoft actually knew and had warned the FBI about him back in 2024 in October, so way before the breach. And the way that Microsoft describes this is a persistent device level identifier uniquely identifying on installation of Windows operating system on a device. So it's very vague. And again, this was identified through the court case, not through a Microsoft announcement of the implementation of this GDID. So here's another article here. This is from ghacks.net. This just kind of amplifies the claims that there is no consistent GDID assigned on any kind of screen. You don't know that it's being assigned. It cannot be disabled without affecting Windows activation or the Microsoft App Store, and essentially claims that Microsoft is essentially now surveillance software, which is a claim, not too inaccurate. So maybe a little truth behind that statement. And then I was able to find this forum detailing how, again, summing up the criminal complaint and the court case. And I thought it was pretty funny. There's kind of like a forum down here talking about whether this is surprising, not surprising. Some people comparing it to Linux GUID partitions, which is, in my opinion, not the same thing. People are calling them out about it. Essentially, this is what's called fingerprinting, and it's been going on for a very long time. However, this is something that, again, should have been disclosed at the very least, if not documented by Microsoft somewhere, without requiring this whole court case to be unsealed in order for us to find out what's actually happening. I was able to find this GDID reversal. This actually has a really good write-up as well. I went through it. It kind of shows things at a very high level. It also debunks some things. So it claims that it's 128-bit, which is false. It's 64-bit, generated from serial number on installs. The compliance says reinstall produces a new GDID, which is correct. However, once you sign back in, it does apply the previously identified GDID. A value derived from fixed serial numbers would come back. Yeah, so it would come back, not change. So that is something that has been debunked. And this is great because it actually goes through the process of finding out where the GDID kind of connects to, how it's captured live, where it goes. And this is a great technical article if you want to read through that. At the very bottom, it tells you how to find your GDID. You essentially run this command, and it provides this hex 16-digit number that looks like the G and the decimal outside of it. So you can get that information. Don't post your number, obviously. This is something that is attached to your Microsoft account, and it is considered sensitive information. So just, if you're going to run these commands, make sure you're doing it in a safe place and you're not sharing that with anyone. And again, the methodology and the way they were to reproduce this with the Microsoft 11 build, the 26,200 machine. And then there's another GitHub repo that I was able to find here that tries to get rid of the GDID. Obviously, the best thing you could do is to use a local account. Don't sign into a Microsoft account from the very beginning. They are patching the whole forgot what the exact abbreviation was, the no NRO, whatever the way to disable local account. This has been since made more difficult at Microsoft, but there is ways around that. You can research how to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to bypass the whole Microsoft local account install. There's a way to do it. You can also turn off some settings here. It mentions them down here. You can turn off cosmetic, telemetry, and a few other things. It doesn't remove the GDID. Essentially, it makes it so they don't communicate. It silences them. There is some warnings when you do that, and it does not erase that ID. It does not make you anonymous. So just because you turn things off, the GDID lives on the Microsoft server and is tied to your Microsoft account the moment you sign in. So even if you sign in, turn all that stuff off, Microsoft still knows the ID. You're signed in, so it's attached to that computer. If you wipe it and you re-sign in at some later point by not going through a local account, then that device gets attached with this GDID again. And then Proton put out a blog as well, and again making that whole claim that Microsoft is now spyware, Windows specifically. I keep confusing Microsoft and Windows, but essentially Windows is now spyware, and it goes into a little bit of detail why they're making that claim. And yeah, I agree. So yeah, that's a little quick video on how you can find your GDID if you are using a Microsoft account, and how that was able to lead into conviction, or lead into an alleged capture of a scattered spider member. Interesting hacking name. And how they were able to use this GDID to kind of track that person down. The story here is not that a GDID exists. Unique identifiers and fingerprinting is not something new that has existed in technology. Like, that's obviously, you can even go as far as to say it has been around for like 20-30 years, right? Like, this is not something new. Meta and has their way of fingerprinting based off of pixels and a bunch of other items. So does Amazon. You can there's cookies and cache and so on and so on and so on. However, this is one of those weird scenarios where billions of machines may be carrying IDs with no disclosure, no consent screen, there's no off switch, and there's only things you can toggle that will kind of remove some of the possible communication back and forth, but the ID still exists and it's still tied to an account. That's the story. The story does not, that's the bigger story rather than someone got caught because Microsoft had an ID. It's Microsoft has an ID, has not disclosed it. It's been running for who knows how long, and you're worse off because of it. In my last video, I said that I wiped Windows about a month ago, 30 days, and I'm really not looking back. If you are staying on Windows, go through a local account and turn off those 4 settings immediately. And if I had to give some suggestions, just leave Microsoft and Windows all entirely. I think we are better off on Linux at this point in time. So yeah, thanks for joining. This is day 3. I'll be creating another video tomorrow. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you tomorrow.